With this energy of the Wheel of Fortune, it feels like this person is ready to invest in the long term possibilities between the two of you in this connection. You satisfy every need, want, desire, requirement that they have thought up an exhaustive list of qualifications based on what they have learned as far as their own pattern and preferences. And also, it feels like shadow work that this person has done to start to ask themselves, as the common denominator within previous connections that fell apart, what is it that they were calling into their life or chasing that just sort of put them in the same position of hopes being lifted in order for hopes to be collapsed. This is somebody that has had some very kind of like serious discussions with themselves, has come to understand that certain things they were seeking out in previous partners, inviting in or chasing, that these things only sort of serve to create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Their wounds were the aspects of themselves doing a lot of the deciding in the past, and it feels like this person prior to meeting you has come to a deep understanding about that. They've been their own worst enemy for a while as far as love is concerned. This is somebody who may even be a master of self-sabotage. So this is somebody also that with that awareness, it's not just like, oh, I have this awareness of self, so that's all I need to do. This is somebody who has taken steps or has incorporated new routines and habits in their daily living, to try to solve some of that woundedness, to try to have compassion for themselves, to try to like release those patterns from the past, and even sort of like rewire their subconscious in some sort of way. So they may be using subliminals, affirmations, motivational speakers, different sorts of things that are kind of like putting a different kind of input into their very kind of like conscious mind so that they can break free of those just kind of unconscious patterns in the past, so that they don't push away things that are for their highest good in the interest of things that just sort of serve those immediate needs, but ultimately only, again, kind of like reinforce that self-fulfilling prophecy, that kind of like subconscious programming or idea that might have been templated in them through their upbringing, things that they witnessed, issues with their self-esteem, or, different sorts of factors for everyone that had encouraged them in the past to settle for less than they deserve, sell themselves short, kind of like run in the direction of things that they almost like could predict then weren't going to be in their highest good. It's like a series of relationships that all sort of ended the same way. They ended up in the same circumstance, almost like they were dating the same person wearing different sorts of faces. And so at some point in time, this person was like, enough is enough. I can't change these other people, but I can do something about myself. So you are dealing with somebody with a level of emotional intelligence that it feels like it is not just innate within them. They weren't just born with this. They have put in the work to kind of cultivate this, to cultivate that discernment, to be very disciplined with themselves. And so it feels like this is somebody that brings a high value love experience to the table, because this isn't just like they, went to a seminar, went to a retreat, listened to a podcast, did like kind of a 30-day cleanse of sort of their old habits and patterns, and they emerged a new person. This is somebody that is like, they have created a routine in their life that is like an ongoing part of their process. It's just part of their lifestyle now. Something that as you get to know them more, you're going to come to discover that. It may be something that's part of like a morning routine or an evening routine, something that they like carve out a very specific portion of their day daily to really sort of, again, like looking in the mirror, addressing themselves as kind of, the common denominator within all these different instances of disappointment and suffering. And so the experience that they bring to the table, it feels like, is somebody that has the capability of evolving and growing alongside you if this is a connection that turns into long-term romance. And they see that you are the type of person, maybe you've mentioned things to them, or they can kind of just sort of like, they can identify like attracts like, they can see that in you, that you've invested some portion of your time or your life to try and changing things for the better, not just kind of cutting out outside influences, but you've done that internal work. And so this is somebody, it feels like, that would make a very good match in terms of a healthy and balanced dynamic. We also have the King of Cups. Yeah, so this person has learned to kind of take things slow as far as matters of the heart are concerned. Not because they are like giving into fear, but they understand good things come to those who wait. In the past, this person may have rushed in very quickly. This is the kind of person that might have even been the one to say, I love you very soon, very immediately. And that is the kind of thing that it feels like landed them in situations where, feelings were spoken too soon. They didn't take time to kind of like vet out potential romantic partners. They found themselves kind of like trapped in certain situations or in kind of like codependent circumstances, toxic circumstances where they were kind of like having all these feelings that were very hot and heavy, and the other person was maybe kind of just siphoning off of that, taking advantage of all of this generosity of love, this like enthusiasm of love that this person is capable of. And it feels like it was just the same kind of partner, like takers in the past, or people that took them for granted. And so this is something again that this person has had to learn to kind of measure themselves, to hold back, to kind of delay intimacy, to stop themselves from kind of just giving too much too soon. It feels like this person has this deep desire to like have these lengthy conversations with you, spend all this time with you, to kind of just open their heart completely to this. But they have learned that they need to exercise that discernment. If this is something that is real, it will stand that test of patience. If this is something that is meant to be, then it is the kind of connection that can develop slowly. And if that is something that doesn't work, like with you or other, potential romantic partners they've encountered even in the past, since they made this change for themselves, then they trust that that is something where they have been operating in accordance with like a higher good that, again, they had to very kind of consciously or deliberately align with. And so things that don't survive that kind of pressure, it's like it isn't meant to be. And so this person is really hopeful that this situation between the two of you is something that can withstand kind of the pressure of like they are deliberately moving very slowly, not to try and like put you in a position where you're chasing or to like sow seeds of uncertainty or doubt within you, but because this is somebody who has worked very hard to kind of like wrangle in that instinct within them to overgive, to jump in too quickly, to let their heart get kind of carried away with itself and not take time to experience like the reality of who people that they are attracted to or drawn to are. We also have the Star. Yeah, so it feels like this person is seeing that like the process that they have gone through before meeting you has kind of created some sort of an alignment within them where they are in a stage in their life where their discernment is a lot better than it used to be. And they have sensed something between the two of you, like a kindred spirit energy, that even without having to like talk about it very directly, there's a sense of almost like, I think that you are the type of person who will understand kind of, the process that I am going through, the reason that I pump the brakes from time to time, or I'm taking things very slowly. And it is not to put you in a position of feeling disempowered or like I'm the prize and you need to chase me, but it's the kind of thing of just like a slow simmer, something that can lead to a very satisfying connection, because this person is not just looking to kind of like fill their spare time with like talking to all these different kinds of people, trying different connections on for size. It feels like this is a type of person that is very exclusively focused. They have their eye on you in this situation. 99.9% likelihood they're not talking to other people. They don't have like multiple people that they are, flirting with or getting to know. It's just you and them. And so there is an exclusivity that is happening here. And this person is really hopeful that this kind of like honoring of the process that they have gone through prior to, coming into your life to kind of manage that impulsivity as far as like the heart is concerned, that this is something that is a valuable contribution to the connection between the two of you, which has the ability to develop very organically and in a way that can really stand the test of time. This is the type of person that sees you as like the perfect candidate for long-term connection. They could see themselves marrying you. They could see themselves falling in love. They can picture very vividly, all of those beautiful things happening between the two of you. And it's very important for them to like honor kind of like how far they've come in their own life and their own journey to get to this version of themselves, where rather than letting their heart just like get them carried away or end up in sticky situations, where this is the type of situation for them where it's like, no, I've cultivated a version of myself that knows if it's something real, if it's something that's meant to be, it'll be there, even if we take kind of like a slow stroll down this experience of getting to know one another, taking periods of time where we just sort of sit in the midst of where we are in the moment, how far we've come, what has been unveiled in this connection before we sort of take a big leap forward, or consecutive steps forward in kind of that direction of progress, of really kind of building something meaningful, building something lasting. This person has a lot to give as far as love is concerned, as far as self-awareness is concerned. This is somebody who has like truly evolved. This is somebody who is actually sitting in like real divine masculine or real divine feminine energy, not just as a cliche, not just as a title, not just as something that sounds trendy, but it's the sense of like this person has wrangled in sort of their lower nature, or like an unconscious version of themselves. They are very awake to the ways in which habitually or historically they kind of got in their own way. They ran in the direction of things that were just going to disappoint them, or put them in circumstances where it wasn't bringing out the best in themselves and whoever that was kind of the object of affection or that they were in a connection with. But it's like two people kind of just becoming very toxic in one another's presence, like worst versions emerging. And this is something that's happened on more than one occasion, and this person's like taken responsibility for their role in that. They've taken accountability. They've switched up the game. They switched up the way in which they approach love and romance. And so as far as this situation with you is concerned, they are trusting at this point in time that this approach, this kind of like disciplined approach, this sort of like, I'm going to hold back. I have this urge to kind of just, kiss you all over and like embrace you, and we're running off together into the sunset and it's going to be beautiful. Like they do have that urge, for you. This isn't somebody that has kind of just like totally stuffed that away and, successfully sort of like bottled up or silenced that ability, that impulsivity, to want to let their heart take the lead. But this is someone who has developed a sense of self-mastery. Like, I want all those things with you. I want to do all of that. But I know that it's something that if we take things very slowly, that when those things finally come to pass between the two of us, there is a higher likelihood that it will be an encounter, an experience, kind of a stage and an evolution between the two of us that will fit, that will feel right, that will have long-term potential. They don't just want to have something quick and easy. This is the type of person that is like, I want to put in this work. I want to exercise this kind of like self-restraint in order to be able to kind of like show up for myself and show up for you in ways that go far beyond the material. This is somebody that feels the two of you are building at this point in the energetic realm. By holding back on those desires, you are creating like a density in terms of this longing, in terms of this potential between the two of you. This is somebody that really wants to take the time to have you see them for all that they are, and they want to take the time to get to discover aspects about you as well that may be a little more obscured, or it just takes time to come to the surface. So this is somebody that is like, they're not looking at time as an oppositional force, but rather your friend in this circumstance. This is an energy of like, yeah, if this is really meant to be, then, what's the rush? We've got the rest of our lives to enjoy all of these really good things. And so in this moment here and now, let's just kind of appreciate where we are and know that this is not kind of as far as they want to go with you. They, see this connection kind of rising into these very beautiful heights, but they also know that that is the kind of thing, in order to build that really like safe or sturdy foundation, where a connection can withstand kind of the seasons of life, or the ups and downs of life, that is something that is built very meticulously, very carefully, and very mindfully. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.